Looking across my table, you will see all of the items and tools necessary to go into the Polymer fantasy figure making business. The entire cost of everything that you see would be around $200 with the exclusion of the table clamped magnifier light. These tools are my favorite. They are for paint pickup, for clay removal, and here's an X-Acto blade knife, a scale maker, a hardwood sculpting tool, and 2 different sizes of stylus. Here I show my favorite brushes. You will need a liner brush for eyebrows and a variety of other sized brushes for the pupil, the iris, lashes, blush, and a cleanup dust brush. You're going to need your basic wire cutters. You're going to need any wire cutter is going to do. These are fancy ones. These you can buy no bigger than the wire is. You can buy these at a fabric store, and they're much better to cut with than running your good scissors, which are necessary too. I use tiny little ones. I haven't had a use for a big pair of scissors in a long time since I stopped sewing. I don't sew anymore for these dolls. We glue everything. So, okay, there are different kinds of clay that we're going to use. Pro Sculpt being the first and main one. Then there's for the tail fin. This is Sculpt, and it's called translucent clay. You can buy it at any art shop, and it is 010 is the number. This particular light right here, this is by Luxo. It's my favorite one. It has a big screen in the back, and I think it illuminates it to 400% of what you normally see. I use glasses that are 400s and this that put it to 400 so you can see every little detail. And if you're going to do quality work, you want a quality light. So spend a little money, find one of these things. Oftentimes they have them on eBay, and I've had friends that have gotten them for real reasonable prices. I paid like $300 for it years ago. So if all else fails, get a magnifying glass that you can go back and you can look at what you're doing, mount it on a clamp of some sort over top of your work so that you can really get in there and close. This is our mermaid, and she's actually going to have an interior armature, which will be made out of 20 gauge aluminum wire. You can buy it at any craft store. And what I do is I extend it long enough, one continuous wire that goes from this point right here all the way up through the top of her head. It corkscrews at her neck so there's no bulk. It has a loop at the very top so that we can hang her, so we can work on her. And then the wire comes, same piece of wire, comes all the way down the other side of her body. And at some center point where her heart is, we're going to actually be putting in the armature that makes her arms. This is very uncomplicated. It's like a stick figure, and all the other armatures that you've ever seen that have actual wire in the fingers or whatever, it's just totally unnecessary. This is the simplest way and the easiest way to control the wire, because the wire has a tendency to rear its ugly little head every turn that you make, like in an elbow or a knee or some kind of joint like at the wrist. So we're going to start and make this as uncomplicated as possible. I'm going to make it longer than I need it to be. Always. You can always cut off, but you can't add once it's been removed. So make it to the top past her head about 2 inches, then make a bend in it. Then come back down, and that's the entire length of the piece. Now I'm going to cut it off. Any wire cutter will work. This is a fancy one, but you don't need something like that. All right. Then at the top, we're going to make a loop. And you can use a needle nose plier to hold it. It helps. Or any way you want to twist it, just as long as you get it twisted. And you're going to hold this up to her body in just a few minutes to make sure that you haven't got it too long, because we have to attach a wire that goes on the interior where her arms are. So probably about I would say 2 inches of twisted wire for this particular figure. This is a 6-inch mermaid, and the 6 inches being from the top of her head to where her feet would be. This would be, if she were in a standing pose and had legs, her feet would be on this plane right here. The tail is always extra. You want to give it that length so it's a graceful mermaid, and you can do really cute things with the tail. Flip it up or turn it under or whatever, turn it sideways and have a little more to work with. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it down on our mermaid. Make sure that the loop is completely above the top of her head. We're going to cut this off later so you don't have to worry about it when it comes time to do the wig. Okay, and we're going to figure out where her heart is on this. And that's where the wire for the arms are going to be. So we're going to take some more of the same wire and we're going to measure across and make it all the way out her arms. We will be cutting it off at the wrist later, but I'm not sure how much wire it's going to take each and every time across her body and to allow for a twist in the middle. So we want to make it at least that long. Let's see, it's in the center of her heart. Make it at least that long. We can always cut it off. Then we do it double. We bend it over and make it the same on both sides. Okay. And once again, we're going to cut off the end as equal as you can get it. Okay. Find your middle point. Put it on your piece right up to where you stopped twisting. Then you simply you lay it on the top, take this piece, go under and twist it around one time. Top, same thing, go under, or over rather, and twist it around, and there's the arms. Very uncomplicated. And if you have another way of applying it, anything you do is fine, as long as it's not going to move up and down on this. It's totally incorporated into the wire. And then we go back and we twist it. Since this is a mermaid, you can twist it all the way down if you want to. And I have found through trial and error and a lot of boo-boos that if you don't make it look like the actual shoulder blade, if you run the wire straight from here down like so, and if you have the particular heart area up further, that it somehow the wire always ends up in the armpit, and if you do a pose that has a raised arm or whatever, you're going to have trouble with it. So you need to make this little particular junction. You're going to turn it like so. See that? And go down the arm, keeping it in the center. Because what we're going to do real soon is we're going to lay the clay on this actual drawing, just like this. Okay, so you at least have 1.5 inches that sticks out of the top of her head, and then come all the way down to close to where I said her feet would be, and just before her fin starts. Okay, and that's where a hook is going to be made. So what we're going to do now is we're going to twist it a little bit more. It's not going to take much. And then we're going to cut it off because there's not any reason to have any wire. If you want a delicate fin, you'll end up putting a different kind of wire on the end of this. This will have a lot of clay to cover this wire because it's not white and it is too thick, and when you fire it, it pops out of the fin, and we're going to find our fin at a different firing time and temperature. So this is really too big. So what you want to do is you want to cut it off, and then we're going to make a little hook out of the whole thing. Squash it together and make a little hook. And that's all there is to it for the armature for this doll.